Have you ever wondered if it's possible to follow every single rule, check every box, and still completely miss the point? Well, today we're digging into a powerful cautionary tale from the Quran that explores just that, the huge danger of prioritizing rules over the actual spirit behind them.
So let's jump right in with a story that's both fascinating and, honestly, a little unsettling. It's about a community that followed the law to the absolute letter, but in the end, they failed. And it forces us to ask a really tough question. What if just obeying the rules isn't actually enough?
All right, so the story is about the Sabbath breakers. They were given one pretty straightforward rule. Don't fish on Saturday, your day of rest. Simple enough, right? Well, there was a catch. No pun intended.
See, the fish only showed up in huge numbers on the Sabbath. So what do? They came up with this really ingenious workaround. They figured, okay, we won't fish on Saturday. Instead, they dig these channels so the Saturday fish would swim in and get trapped. Then, on Sunday, they just waltz over and collect them. Technically, they followed the rule. A perfect little loophole, right?
But this is the whole point of the story. Yeah, their solution was technically legal, but it was missing the one thing that mattered: sincere submission. It was a victory of cleverness over commitment. They were so proud of how smart they were that they totally missed the point of the command, which was simply to trust and obey.
So you might be thinking, if they didn't actually break the letter of the law, what was the real crime here? Why was this such a big deal? Well, the answer isn't in the action itself, but in what that action really represented. The problem wasn't just about one fishing rule. It was about breaking their sacred covenant, their mithaq. And this is a really key idea. A mithaq isn't just you, as an individual, making a promise. No, it's a collective contract. It's the entire community's shared mission and responsibility before God. And this quote just nails it. The root cause wasn't this one single action. It was a mindset, a deep-seated pattern of hesitation and resistance to just truly submit. They were always looking for the loophole, the way around the spirit of the law, instead of just embracing it. Now, this story isn't just a history lesson. The Quran presents it as a pattern, a warning sign for every community that comes later. So after seeing how they failed, the source material forces us to turn that lens around and look at the covenant given to the Muslim community. And this is where things get really interesting. You see, unlike the super detailed laws given to past nations, the covenant given to the Muslim community was made incredibly, almost shockingly simple.
I mean, just look at this comparison. On one hand, you have a detailed list of commandments, the Big Ten plus a lot more, a whole checklist of do's and don'ts. But the new covenant, it was boiled down to its absolute essence. It wasn't about a list, it was about an attitude, a core posture.
And that was it. The entire pact boiled down to just two words: listen and obey. Specifically, listen to the prophet and fully commit to the mission he was establishing. The idea was to get rid of the temptation to find loopholes and just focus everyone on the collective goal. You'd think that would solve the problem, right? Make it so simple that no one could miss the point. But despite that radical simplification, the exact same spiritual disease that infected the last community started to creep in again. The pattern began to repeat.
And here's the core symptom: a sense of spiritual entitlement. It's this dangerous belief that just by being born into the right group, you've got some kind of special status. That feeling of we're the chosen people doesn't lead to humility. It leads to a lazy, dangerous complacency.
And you can see the results all around us today, can't you? Communities turn inward. They create these cultural and intellectual silos, these echo chambers. They get bogged down in endless internal arguments about tiny details, focusing on the superficial stuff, while completely losing sight of the huge collective mission they were actually given.
So what's the consequence of all this navel-gazing? Well, it creates an illusion of strength. You get a community that is massive in population, spanning the entire globe. But that size, it's totally deceiving. Because that huge community, as this powerful imagery from the source describes it, becomes spiritually weightless. Vast, yes, but with no real substance, no real impact. It's like the froth on the waves of the sea. It's everywhere. It looks like a lot, but it has no weight. There's nothing to it. It just disappears. And that brings us to the final, really stark comparison that the source material leaves us with. It basically holds up a mirror to our current condition, and believe me, the reflection is not comfortable.
Let's be really clear about what their failure was. The Quran doesn't say they failed in their personal prayers or rituals. They didn't stop going to the synagogue. Their failure was collective.
They failed in their mission to establish truth and justice for everyone in society, not just for themselves.
And here's the parallel we're forced to look at. They lived comfortably in their physical fortresses in Medina, passively watching injustice thrive right outside their walls. Well, are we not living comfortably in our 59-plus national fortresses today, remaining passive while injustice runs rampant across the globe? They kept their rituals, but their covenant, their mission, was broken.
So this is the final crucial question the source leaves us with. It's a sobering, deeply personal question for every single one of us. They failed their collective duty. Are we just repeating the exact same pattern? This whole story is a powerful reminder that true faith isn't measured by how cleverly you follow the rules, but by how sincerely you pursue the collective mission you've been given.